Hi gamers! In this video, I'm going to talk about arcade games that have never been released on home consoles. So, let's start. Catalogues and Dinosaurs, released in '93 by Capcom. Catalogues and Dinosaurs is a 2D side-scrolling beat-'em up based on the Catalogues and Dinosaurs animated series. Someone in Capcom must love dinosaurs. Who's remember Dino Crisis 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 1 and the Dreamcast? In Catalogues and Dinosaurs, we have to choose between 4 playable characters: Jack, Anna, Mustafa, and Messi. The gameplay is similar to other Capcom beat-'em ups. Many people say this game is very similar to Final Fight, and I don't agree with that. Yes, we go from left to right, against enemies and bosses, but Final Fight, for example, don't have fire weapons as Uzis, shotgun, revolver, bazookas, and many more. And also, in this game, we can drive a Cadillac and run over enemies. This is one of the best 2D side-scrolling beat-'em ups. It's the type of the game that in the old days we can play every day in the arcade and always have fun. Golden Axe: Revenge of Death Rider, released in '92 by Sega. Years later, when the land of Yuri was at peace again, Death Rider re-emerged from the darkness, along with his castle, spreading chaos and destruction across the land once more. 4 new heroes stood against Death Rider forces and fought their way up to the evil giant castle. Our characters are Goa, the giant, Sternblade, the barbarian, Dora, a centaur, and Little Twigs. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have the characters from previous games. Gilly's Thunderhead from the first game rides on Goa's back and casts the spells, while Goa does the fighting. For the first time in the franchise, we can cooperate between both players. We can both grab an enemy at the same time and perform a wrestling move. Also, we can play this game in 2, 3 or 4 players simultaneously. Revenge of Death Rider was the only Golden Axe in which one of the magic attacks was not to kill enemies, as the power of Little Tricks is a group apple trees with fruit for us to gain health. Playing in 2, 3 or 4 player mode, any of the players can also eat the fruit. It's a pity that Sega never released this game for any home console. This is probably the best Golden Axe game ever made. Vendetta, released in '91 by Konami. This game could be called the Expensibles, because from the 4 characters that we can choose, 3 of them looks exactly like Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. As many side-scroll beat-'em ups, the bad guy kidnaps a girl and the heroes must rescue her. The game uses 2 buttons, punch and kick, rather than jump. The special punch plus kick attack is the only aerial attack. Every time this special attack is performed, it takes away 1 bar of our energy. The player can also use different weapons that belong to enemies, like shotguns, baseball bats, knives, bottles, tires, sandbags, and more. We can also kick and punch enemies when they are in the floor, and the bosses are original and completely different from each other. In my opinion, this is one of the best games in this list. Everybody that loves the genre should try to play it. Alien vs Predator, released in '94 by Capcom. Alien vs Predator is based on the Alien and the Predator film franchise. We can pick from 4 characters to kill aliens and human enemies. The characters are 2 predators, warrior and hunter, and 2 humans, Lieutenant Lin and Major Duke, based on the Arnold Schwarzenegger character from The Predator. All characters are equipped with a gun, and 3 of them have weapons. Lin has a katana, the hunter has a blade, and the warrior a spear. All the characters have different special moves, and we can also pick weapons such as knives, grenade launchers, flamethrowers, and rifles that can be found or taken from fallen enemies. The player can also find jewels or bonus points, or food and medicine to restore lost health. Besides aliens, we can also fight against humans or infected humans and robots. Gameplay is typical for the genre. Player must walk to the right, kill all enemies and defeat bosses. The gameplay and the graphics are one of the best in any 2D side-scrolling beat-'em up. The music, the sound effects are also very good. And in my humble opinion, any gamer should try this game, because it's almost impossible not to like it. Metamorphonic Force, released in '93. This game was a unique system of transformation. The hero, after collecting the appropriate bonus, changed into a strong beast. Smashing enemies will make them drop statues of Athena, and picking this up will have your character to go into the beast form. When you are in the beast form, you move much faster, jump higher, generally do more damage, and can grab and attack enemies by walking into them. As you might imagine, beast mode is a lot better than our human form, but taking damage will reduce a meter underneath our health. Once it runs out, we will turn back to human until we find another statue. Picking up a statue while we are already beasted, we do a move that hits every enemy on the screen, so they generally always worth grabbing when you see one. In this game, no girl is kidnapped. An excellent evil is rising from the past, the evil king rising from the dead to rule the world once more. Now the four heroes have been summoned by the goddess to stop them. I never saw this game in any arcade salon. I just played it a few times in my arcade machine. The game is above average, but in my opinion, at the time of the release in 1993, there were much better 2D side-scrolling beat'em-ups. Metamorphquester, released in '95 by Bun Presto. Metamorphquester was originally released in Japan in November of 1995 under the name of Oni, the Ninja Master. The game used 4 buttons: weak attack, medium attack, strong attack, and shoot or throw weapon. Special moves are done using the standard fighting game motions with the joystick and then tapping the right button. Simultaneously holding down the weak and the medium attack buttons will charge the super meter, located under the health bar, like Art of Fighting or the Kings of Fighters, but in this case there are 3 levels. Once at any of these levels, pressing the medium and the strong button together will activate the character's super move, which seems then temporarily change into their demon form and unleash an attack. This game has very good graphics and boasts some pretty impressive 3D effects for these days. The stages, most of them are pretty dark and gloomy, with corpse and fire in the background. The monsters and the stages design are very unique, designed by Takahishu Ohashi, that would later go to work as a visual effects artist in Final Fantasy IX. We can also team up with a friend to fight against the CPU. Unfortunately, there are no special double teams attacks like in Golden Axe, for example. The game is very unique and the gameplay is very fast. I strongly recommend it. Ninja Baseball Batman, released in '93 by Iron American Corp. Ninja Baseball Batman, no, not this Batman, is Batman. It's a 2D beat-em-up like others in this list, but with a strong baseball team. The goal is to recover several artifacts stolen from the Baseball Hall of Fame. The character selection features 4 different robotic ninja characters with baseball gear. The gameplay consists mostly of going right in the stages and fight enemies using an arsenal of different moves, including baseball slides. The game was colorful and cartoonistic graphics, and the baseball team make this game unique. Some opponents also wear baseball gears, and everything in the background is also baseball team. We also fight with the baseball bat, but we can also pick other weapons to throw. The game has a lot of humor, the enemies and the bosses are funny and stupid. The graphics are very cartoonistic, the music is very nice. We could without a doubt listen to these soundtracks while go to a run or ride a bicycle. In my opinion, the game is definitely worthwhile. Shadow Force, released in '93 by Tecmo Japan. Shadow Force is a beat-em-up game that puts players in the shoes of either Kai, a ninja character, Bullnet, a female sword fighter, Tengu, a cyber soldier, and a beastman called Coyote. There is no girl kidnapped this time. The plot is simple. The human race is threatened this time by Dr. Wong and his Caesar organization. And now it's up to us to stop these evil organizations. As you may process, you may encounter many different enemies. This includes soldiers, ninjas, robots, samurai, monsters, and the typical boss fights. What makes this game different from others is that we have the ability to transform into these enemies and fight in that form. If the enemy, for example, have a fire gun or a throw grenade, you gain those abilities. Between the stages, we play a versus fighting game. The graphics, music, and sound effects are good. Not the best in the genre, but not the worst either. Like usually, along the way, health can be raised by consuming food. Like usually, the game can be played solo or with a friend. The gameplay is very good, and the unique fact that we can have the ability to transform into our enemies gives a diverse gameplay. Night Slashers, released in '93 by Data Quest. What makes this game unique is the horror scene. Despite the fact it takes place in modern times, it's more or less close we can get to seeing Castlevania in the beaten up form. We fight many zombies, werewolves, and vampires. There are 3 player characters. Christopher is an European vampire hunter who wears a nice suit. Jake is an American street brawler who has 2 big metal arms. And finally, Young Yua, that is an Asian martial art artist. The gameplay is simple, 1 button to punch and 1 to jump, and a 3rd button that we can press will cause our character to do a screen cleaning element attack, like Golden Axe. Unfortunately, that takes so much health that you might as well just fight our opponents normally, unless you've got some health items near. The enemies they all tend to go down pretty fast. But it's pretty cool to be able to kick 3 zombies so hard that they all fall apart into the bloody mess at the same time. Each stage also had at least 1 mini boss and the final boss. Blood and gore isn't the entire new things for beaten ups, but Night Slashers is still very gory. The player characters don't do as much as bleed a single drop of blood, but the same doesn't apply to our enemies. Zombies, vampires, werewolves, they all blow apart in the bloody mess. Overall, Night Slashers is a decent, but not amazing. What makes this special is the horror scene and some memorable musics. If you got a couple of friends, you not regret playing this game. Legionnaire, released in '92 by Ted Corporation. A gang was taken over the city and only 3 citizens are willing to fight. They call themselves the Legionnaire. Alfred, Chris and Frank are the names of our heroes. One curiosity is that many players state that Christine character that is playing now is exactly like Lucia from Final Fight 3. And this game was released 3 years earlier. But in my opinion she's a little more like Blaze from Street of Rage. There are no weapons, with the exception of the explosives. There are no knives or sticks or fire weapons as usually in this type of games. The moveset is fairly small too. The enemies are funny. There is a particularly weird enemy with a huge nose that only takes a single hit before he starts running away in panic. Other funny enemy is one of the bosses, a huge woman who breathes fire. Every once in a while she looks at the screen and flashes the middle finger to us. Legionnaire once had a reputation of lost game. It was the copy protection prevented from being properly emulated in MUM. As a result, it was basically forgotten until the MUM team distributed it. In my opinion, as almost any game in this genre is worth playing, and it's always fun to play in 2-player modes. So gamer, what do you think about these games? Did you play some of these games in the arcade? Thanks for watching the video and see you next time.